News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. The American car business, a primary force in the national economy, is losing money at a record clip, and there is no sign of an immediate recovery. NBC's Robert Hager tonight on how this hits home across the country. Robert?
Tom, an awful day for the U.S. auto industry, a series of dismal earning reports, and news that one of the Middle Atlantic's bigger dealerships has filed for bankruptcy protection. JKJ Auto Sales, in business for 50 years, with showrooms all over Northern Virginia, today completed filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy for 7 of its 8 dealerships. This just as Ford today announced third-quarter losses of $574 million. General Motors followed with announcement of $1.1 billion in losses, leaving Chrysler, the weakest of the big three, to announce its losses next week. Analysts say the third quarter is always slow. In addition, this year there's the recession and lack of consumer confidence. Sales of Japanese cars have not been as hard hit. Honda Accord sales were up 60% in early October. But in Manhattan, Cadillac's business has been so bad that for months it had no dealership at all. Finally, the company persuaded 80-year-old Victor Potomkin, a legend in auto sales, to come out of retirement last week and reopen his Manhattan showroom.
We've seen this happen over the 46 years, like I mentioned before. I've seen this happen numerous times. Every 3, 4, 5 years, something takes place.
Across New York, in the borough of Queens, sales at the 57-year-old de Blasi Ford dealership are down. Richard de Blasi.
Our sales this year compared to last year, our sales for new cars is probably off about 15%.
In California, the nation's largest car market, many more dealers have gone out of business than in other years. And in Saco, Maine, listen to Jolly John Pulsiver advertising on WCHS-TV some months ago.
It's official! Already the Jolly John team is in Maine.
But a few months later, Pulsiver was less jolly. Sales of his American-made models lagged. The business went belly up. He took it philosophically.
2 years ago, I'm a multi-millionaire. Today, I'm broke.
Well, Jolly John isn't alone. In fact, by year's end, losses by America's big three automakers are expected to be the worst ever, surpassing 1980, the year Chrysler had to be bailed out. Tom?
Thank you, Robert. An economic catastrophe of a different kind in the hills above Oakland and Berkeley, California. That firestorm killed 16 people and destroyed more than 2,000 homes of various kinds. As NBC's Keith Morrison tells us tonight, the magnitude of that disaster is just now beginning to sink in.
If everybody stay in line, and I appreciate it, okay?
In Oakland and in Berkeley, people had to find out before they could come to grips with them. It was 2 days ago their houses either burned or didn't, and still today they had to get in line to find out which from a police car.
There's nothing left. Nothing at all.
Up here are 1,800 houses and 900 apartments, which used to be homes.
Where'd he go?
We last saw expressions like this after the earthquake hit Oakland.
The earthquake, not the fire.
Lately, it seems as if there is always something in Oakland. Here is a man who had just finished building a hillside castle. This was not a poor neighborhood. And look what happened. The fire was so intense it went through a 12-inch concrete wall. Oakland, of the moonscape hillsides. What could be next?
I had this sort of a gut feeling that now what we're going to get is a downpour, and there's going to be a lot of erosion. There's nothing to hold it back.
Some people were already thinking about rebuilding and expecting a political struggle over how to rebuild.
This place had so much character. Each home was so unique. That's just my biggest fear, is can I have a suburban sprawl?
This is my room over here.
And this man remembered how it happened before when he was 7 and they were burned out.
I just don't know whether we can come back to this.
Toby, Johnny, Muffy.
But mostly today they just wanted to know what was what. Wanted to know how the odd cat survived. How come some people were so very lucky?
But my arbor is still standing.
And they waited because still so many don't know what to deal with.
I just want to see my house inside.
Keith Morrison, NBC News, Oakland, California.
From one piece of alarming news to another, Assignment Earth, our environmental series. And tonight, the ozone layer in more trouble than we realized. NBC science correspondent Robert Bazell.
The grim news about ozone depletion came from science.
So the situation is definitely getting much worse than what was estimated.
About 10 miles above the Earth, there is a natural layer of ozone, a form of oxygen. Normally, this deflects ultraviolet light from the sun, which can cause skin cancer and destroy crops. Certain industrial chemicals have been eating away at the ozone, allowing more ultraviolet light to hit the Earth. The problem first appeared 4 years ago in the winter as a hole in the ozone over the South Pole, the purple area in this satellite photo. Since then, scientists have been monitoring ozone changes around the world.
The new findings are that we now see a significant decrease of ozone both in the northern and southern hemispheres, not only in winter, but spring and summer, the time people sunbathe, putting them at risk of skin cancer, the time we grow crops. So this is extremely serious and it has societal implications.
The scientists estimate that because of excess ultraviolet radiation, the ozone depletion will increase the skin cancer rate in the United States by at least 20%. The chemicals that destroy ozone include compounds used for refrigeration and fire extinguishing. In a treaty first signed in 1987 and then strengthened last year, many countries agreed to ban the chemicals by the year 2000. That does not appear now to be enough.
There's been about a 3% decrease of ozone in summer. We believe there will be an additional 3% ozone loss between now and the end of the century.
Administration officials agree faster action is needed.
I think we need to redouble our efforts to get other countries, and particularly developing countries, to consider moving up their schedules as well.
But environmental groups say the U.S. itself could be acting faster, and that it should consider economic aid to poor countries to help them cut the use of the chemicals. Robert Vizell, NBC News at the United Nations.
Some good news when Nightly News continues. Hostage Jesse Turner tonight in the hands of American doctors. And tonight's What Works. Women in business are learning there is strength in numbers.
$1. Come on and nutritize your body. Come on and nutritize your mind. Want to change your old size for a Nutri-Size? Call your Nutrisystem Center. We'll teach you how to develop a whole new relationship with food. Nutri-Size your life. Nutri-Size now and lose all the weight you can for the price of a 10-pound program. Call 1-800-321-THIN.
Which do you think will put potassium into your body faster? The banana or the California prune? Go.
Sweet, delicious California prunes. Find out how good they really are.
If you don't get to sleep, I won't get to sleep.
Nitol safely helps you fall asleep fast so you can get your Z's. Nitol or maximum strength Nitol.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
After more than 1,700 days as a hostage, Jesse Turner spent today as a free man. Finally out of the Middle East, Turner flew to the U.S. military hospital in Wiesbaden, Germany for a checkup and a family reunion. NBC's Dennis Murphy is there tonight. Dennis?
Tom, Turner had smiles and waves when he arrived here. He looked better in general than that pale, stumbling man that we saw when he was first released just 8 hours earlier.
The military plane that flew Turner out of Damascus arrived with flags waving. The 44-year-old mathematician needed some help down the plane ladder. U.S. Ambassador to Germany, Robert Timmitt, greeted him. A slight wobble, the reminder that he had been a prisoner for more than 4.5 years. Cheers and more flags for Turner at Wiesbaden Military Hospital. Turner walked without assistance. The doctors who examined him on the flight from Damascus pronounced him in generally good condition. At his family home in Boise, Turner's Lebanese wife, Badr, got her first glimpse of her husband on television early this morning, free in Damascus.
He is okay. Without beard, this is the first time I see him without beard. This is strange.
Mrs. Turner heads for Germany tonight with their 4-year-old daughter, Joanne, who Jesse Turner has never seen. On the Today program, Mrs. Turner told NBC's Margaret Larson about their first phone call this morning.
He asked me, "Is that you?" So he couldn't believe it, and I couldn't believe it either. And I told him that we are going to meet him in a few hours, and he said, "Is that true?" And we said to each other that we love each other.
Turner looked wan and shaky when he faced the cameras in Damascus early this morning.
And I wish to thank everybody for all the help they gave in exerting my release. And I know we'll continue to get all the hostages released.
The Beirut College professor abducted by gunmen looked as though he might have been broken by his kidnappers. But here in Germany this evening, there was a smile back on Jesse Turner's face.
Sometime tomorrow, that reunion with his wife, and for the first time, he meets his daughter. Tom?
Thank you, Dennis. Some unsettling developments tonight in the efforts to get a Middle East peace conference. The Palestinian delegates and who they represent. When that came out today, Israel struck back. NBC's Martin Fletcher.
Today, the PLO challenged Israel's prime minister, and the peace conference is already in trouble before it's begun. A Palestinian delegate to the conference mentioned the unmentionable. He represents the PLO.
We know that the PLO had chosen this delegation. Shamir knows very well. And Mr. Shamir must understand that it's enemies who make peace. And this delegation is the PLO delegation.
Israel's position is very clear. If the PLO talks, Israel walks. Prime Minister Shamir repeated it today in Strasbourg, France.
That if the representatives on the conference will say that they speak on behalf of the PLO, we will not speak with them.
The Israelis say the United States assured them if the Palestinian delegates say they represent the PLO, America would understand if Israel left the peace conference. So where does Erekart's open admission leave Israel?
I think the government will look into this issue and give its response very shortly.
Then there's the Palestinians who've been meeting regularly with Secretary of State James Baker, but have been rejected by Israel as negotiating partners because of their open ties to the PLO. They'll be at the peace conference after all, not negotiating, but advising the Palestinian negotiators, pulling the strings and reporting by phone directly to Yasser Arafat.
You know that any Palestinian will be there will represent the PLO.
The idea that the Palestinians did not represent the PLO was always a bit of a charade, but until today both sides played the game. Now the Palestinians have broken Israel's rules, and an Israeli official said tonight if what Arafat and the Palestinian delegates said is true, it could derail the peace talks. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
When Nightly News continues in a moment, a powerful new tool for women in business.
Now you can ask Angela Lansbury about Bufferin.
Angela, you said on TV that Bufferin's effective pain relief. Is it really strong aspirin?
I'll say it is. Extra strength Bufferin's the strongest dose of aspirin you can buy. 1,000 milligrams.
Angela, how can Bufferin be so strong if it has buffers?
That's a good question. I've learned the buffers don't weaken it. They just help prevent aspirin's stomach upset. Bufferin's great pain relief.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of Bufferin? Alaska. Cold, clear waters. This is where it begins. Red Lobster now brings you the Alaskan Crab Rush. When snow crab is at its sweetest, juiciest. Right now, enjoy 8 great crab dinners starting at just $8.99. The Alaskan Crab Rush. Before it's over, rush to Red Lobster.
Can a razor cut your beard off below the skin without the blades even touching your face? It can if it's a Norelco. Norelco's patented lift and cut system lifts the hair, so when it's cut, it can actually drop below skin level without the blades even touching your face. Are you getting a shave this incredibly close and exceptionally comfortable? You are when you shave with Norelco. Norelco, we make close comfortable.
Our daily difference tonight, what works? You've heard, of course, of the Old Boy Network, but how about the New Woman Network? Well, for the millions of women who run small businesses in this country or want to, it is a path to success. Low-cost loans for women. What works in Los Angeles? NBC's George Lewis now.
Excellent cheekbones and make a good model. The reason I say you get into cosmetics is because there's a void in the market for people of color.
June Davis wants to be known as Miss D these days. She's developed a line of cosmetics designed for black women. She dreams of being the African-American equivalent of Mary Kay.
Well, I'm like almost to the age that Mary Kay started at. So I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to try and follow little Mary Kay and see what little Miss D can do. So that's my plan.
You can come in, you'll set up an appointment with me.
To help make her dream come true, Miss D went to a Los Angeles group called the Coalition for Women's Economic Development, one of about 100 such organizations around the nation.
Most of the women I work with already come to us with a business, and it'll probably be at a fledgling level, and I provide them with technical assistance, and our organization provides loans for them to start their businesses.
The coalition, backed by grants from charitable foundations, offers low-interest one-year loans of up to $2,000 to women who form self-help business circles. Among the other women in Miss D's circle, Gwendolyn Riley, who owns a second-hand clothing store. Ronnie Lewis, who's trying to sell custom-designed T-shirts and jewelry. Roxy Wilson, who designs and manufactures dolls. And Dolores Berry, who has a secretarial service. She says working with the coalition has helped her overcome a lot of fears about starting her own business.
You can't sleep at night, it's not going to work, I'm not going to make any money, I was afraid and I'm still afraid, but I'm doing it, and that's the important thing.
Each time they meet, the women make payments on their loans. If one of the circle members is having a lean month, the other 4 will help make up her share. Part of the money goes into an emergency fund to make sure the circle's payments, underwritten by the coalition, are current. The track record of programs like this is excellent. Very few women default on their loans.
Because we're in it together. And if one person doesn't stick to the bargain, and follow through on what we all committed to do, then it's going to make it difficult for the rest of us, because we're a circle, we're unbroken.
The idea of granting modest loans to get small circles of women started in business originated in poorer countries like Bangladesh. Those who benefited from it here say America should not be afraid to borrow a good idea from the third world.
So sometimes we can learn from the third world countries some things that are just practical. And it's just practical right here and now in our particular climate, especially in the economic times, because a lot of us are going to have to make jobs.
At least the women know that in these tough times, they don't have to go it alone. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
When we return in a moment, bank loan discrimination in this country and John Chancellor's commentary tonight.
Hello? You? Oh, how about dinner at our house? What's wrong? Headache. I can imagine. Oh, I've got what you need. Motrin IB. Works great on headaches. My doctor said it's the same medicine as in prescription Motrin, but in non-prescription strength. 1 Motrin IB works as well as 2 regular Tylenol. Here. Oh, no. Don't look. Just keep this. Sounds like they'll need it too.
Motrin IB, recommended by thousands of doctors.
And your neighbor.
These are remarkable cars, and I've left all this space to show you why. First, Dodge Spirit and Plymouth Acclaim are the lowest priced 6-passenger cars in the world, even with an airbag and all the goodies you see here. But okay, you want to spruce it up, so you start adding options: air, automatic, 4-speaker stereo. When you're through, you'll find that Spirit and Acclaim, with all this, are still the lowest priced 6-passenger cars on the planet.
Now get a warranty choice no other manufacturer offers.
Grandma's got a date. What's a date? That's when you hug someone.
Closeness. You might hesitate if you wore a diaper. So Johnson & Johnson created Serenity Guards, bladder-controlled protection so advanced it holds as much as something 5 times its size and stays dry, locking liquid in.
Grandma, are you gonna hug him? Hug me.
Oh. Give yourself hugs for discovering Serenity from Johnson & Johnson.
It's gone. But it isn't. Vicks introduces an incredible new cough drop.
It's gone, but it isn't.
A cough drop so powerful, it keeps on working even after the drop is gone. It's extra strength Vicks, a new kind of Vicks with twice the Vicks Vapor Medicine to relieve your cough and help your scratchy throat and stuffy nose feel better, even after the drop is gone. New extra strength Vicks, extra strong to work.
Even after it's gone.
American banks have displayed a bias when dealing with minorities, especially with blacks, when it comes to mortgages. That's the conclusion of the Federal Reserve, and today, Congress jumped on the practice. NBC's chief economics correspondent is Irving R. Levine.
The members of Congress charge that the report shows widespread violation by banks of anti-discrimination laws in lending.
Despite working hard to afford a home, many families are being shut out of a chance to build a piece of the American dream for no reason other than the color of their skin.
The Fed study shows that at every level of income, black and Hispanic applicants were far more likely to be refused a mortgage loan than were whites. Among high-income applicants, 21% of blacks rejected, 14% of Hispanics rejected, only 9% of whites rejected. Among low-income applicants, similar disparities among black applicants rejected, Hispanics, and whites. Example, in St. Louis.
Hey, I was standing credit record, and I think I was turned down because I am a minority.
Example, in Minneapolis.
I had a job. I was paying more for rent than I would for the mortgage, so the only reason I can conclude that they turned me down was because of my color.
Among American cities, Boston showed the widest gap. 35% of blacks turned down for mortgages, but only 11% of whites. Bankers deny discrimination and say the Fed report overlooks key questions.
Was the credit history satisfactory of the individual? Was their employment history acceptable? How about their level of debt that's outstanding?
The recession has added to the difficulty of low-income Americans, regardless of race, in getting mortgages. Banks that are in financial trouble are steering away from any loan that involves risks. And that is not likely to change until the economy improves. Irving R. Levine, NBC News, Washington.
And now for commentary with John Chancellor tonight on why we all have a stake in this Middle East peace conference. John?
Tom, here's a question Americans should be asking about next week's Middle East peace conference. What's in it for us? Why is it important for us that Israel, its Arab neighbors, and the Palestinians start talking? Here's the answer. When Israel gets in trouble, the United States gets drawn in. In 1973, when Israel was losing the Yom Kippur War, the United States mounted a huge military supply airlift which helped Israel win the war. This year, during the Gulf War, the United States sent Patriot missiles to defend Israel against Iraqi missile attacks. If Israel gets in trouble again, the American government will get involved. That is a political reality and a moral necessity. But the trouble next time could be nuclear trouble. All the signs are bad. In his new book on Israel, The Samson Option, Seymour Hersh writes that Israel has 300 deliverable nuclear weapons. If its back were against the wall, Israel would certainly go nuclear. Here's another bad sign. Paul Nitze, an expert on nuclear arms, said recently that because of chaos in the Soviet Union, the chances of a Soviet nuclear weapon falling into irresponsible hands are better than 50-50. Those irresponsible hands could easily be Arab hands. New high-tech weapons have made Israel's enemies more powerful. Another war might be a ghastly bloodbath. The United States, as Israel's chief ally and supplier, would be drawn into it one way or another with unpredictable consequences. That's why Americans need peace in the Middle East. Tom?
John, this one comes under the heading of whoops. The United States Mint says that a plate used to print $100 bills is missing. It was probably thrown out in the trash. No phony C-notes have shown up yet.
I just can't stand this anymore. How am I supposed to fall asleep with this pain? I could take one of those nighttime pain relievers with a sleep ingredient. But all I really need is Advil to help stop the pain that's keeping me up. Just Advil. That's all I want. Without the extra sleep ingredient I don't want. Advil is so effective, it relieves the pain, so I can get to sleep.
Discover the relief of Advil at bedtime. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
We want to show you what an American car company can do when we put our minds to it. In 1989, this Dodge Viper was just a concept. In January, it'll be rolling off an assembly line in Detroit, Michigan. Nobody in the country ever developed a car that fast. From now on, every new car Chrysler makes is going to be built the way this one was. And that's by a team. Product and manufacturing engineers, designers, finance guys, and marketers, all working together with one idea, making a great car. And this is where they'll do it, our new $1 billion Chrysler Technology Center. We'll have 7,000 people here, designing, testing, hand-building prototypes. There's even a pilot factory to get it right before we produce a single car. We've been telling you about Chrysler Advantages for some time now. We've changed this company to give you even higher quality cars, faster, and at lower cost. For those of us who forgot, it's called being competitive.
A cold always starts small. A stuffy nose, a little sneeze. But before you know it, your cold is full grown. That's when you need Dimetap. If it was any stronger, you'd need a prescription. Doctor-recommended Dimetap Extend tabs work for 12 full hours. It's the way to relieve the congestion and sneezing of a full-grown cold. Maximum strength Dimetap Extend tabs. Relief for the full-grown cold.
Let's face it, isn't there almost always a small moment of terror, or at least doubt, when the sales clerk punches in our credit card numbers? In this society, we live and die by credit. And look now at how easily it can go wrong. NBC's Fred Briggs.
Richard Maurer applied for a home improvement loan this summer. He didn't get it right away.
We've got a phone call from the Massachusetts Savings Bank saying that we had a lien against our property in Norwich.
It was news to him. And when Robert Nye and his wife tried to renew their Sears credit card,
I was told that I couldn't renew it because I had DeRog in my credit rating. DeRog. That was the word she used.
The Maurers and the Nyes were among 1,400 property owners in Norwich whose names were reported for delinquent property taxes, reported to TRW, one of the nation's 3 largest credit reporting companies. TRW had used a subcontractor to gather information, and a new employee sent to Norwich's town hall to look over the tax books made a mistake. She looked at the wrong books. Instead of seeing those who owed, she saw those who had paid.
People were angry, they were frustrated, confused. Some were ashamed. You know, did I forget to pay my taxes?
The employee who made the mistake worked for National Data Retrieval, one of 20 companies supplying TRW with information. It was a part-time job. The training was brief.
I was trained in the White River District Courts for about 5 minutes, looking through records, find judgments, and settle dates. And that was it.
TRW no longer uses National Data Retrieval and says all the incorrect names from Vermont have been purged from its computers. It also says it's sorry, but
there is no way to prevent a human being from making a human error. And that's exactly what occurred in this case in Vermont.
We're seeking $10,000 in penalties for every violation, that is, every improper report.
In Norwich alone, that could be $14 million. And for those it happened to...
Well, I would certainly think I should have an apology from TRW, you know.
Do you expect it?
No.
They did expect an investigator trained to know what to investigate. Fred Briggs, NBC News.
That's Nightly News for this Tuesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
A man's ambition.
I want you to run for state attorney general.